Hey there, do you ever feel like you want your English to sound, well, just a bit more natural? More like how people actually talk every day? Well, a big part of that secret is mastering something called phrasal verbs. They're literally everywhere in daily conversation. And in this explainer, we're going to make them super easy to learn by just walking through a regular day. So you ready? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's kick things off with a classic example. Imagine someone tells you they're going to work out. What's the first thing that pops into your head? Are they, packing up their briefcase and leaving the office? Or is it something else entirely? This right here is why phrasal verbs can feel so tricky at first.
Exactly. The individual words work and out give you absolutely zero clues about the real meaning. When you put them together, work out has nothing to do with your job. It just means to exercise. The original words are kind of like a total misdirection.
So that's the whole deal with a phrasal verb. It's just a verb plus a little word like out, on, or in. And when they team up, they create a brand new meaning you'd probably never guess. But listen, don't worry about memorizing a bunch of boring rules. We're going to make this fun and learn the most common ones just by living through a typical day together. All right, let's start our day. We're going to begin right from that first moment the alarm clock rings. You'll be surprised how many phrasal verbs we use before we've even had our first cup of coffee. Okay, picture this. It's 7 in the morning, and that sound starts, that all too familiar buzzing sound. But what's the most natural, everyday way to say that? We say the alarm clock goes off. It's a funny one, right? Because nothing is actually going off. It just means it starts to ring. You'll almost never hear a native speaker say their alarm started. They'll always say it went off. And this works for any kind of alarm, like a fire alarm or the one on your phone. So, the alarm goes off, and your first instinct is, of course, to switch it off. And then what's next? You probably turn on the lights. Now here's a cool little tip for you. A verb like switch off is what we call separable. That means you can say, I switched off the light, or I switched the light off. Both are totally perfect. All right, the alarm is silent. But here's a question. Did you wake up or did you get up? They sound super similar, but there's actually a really important difference. To wake up is just that moment you stop sleeping and your eyes open. But to get up is when you physically throw back the covers and get out of bed. So you might wake up at 7, but not actually get up until 7:15. So what are you doing in that time between waking up and getting up? Well, you might be lounging around. It's such a great phrase. It means you're just relaxing, maybe checking your phone, not really doing anything important, just enjoying those last few minutes in bed. Okay, you finally dragged yourself out of bed. Time to get ready for the day. So you're going to take off your pajamas and then put on your clothes. This pair, take off and put on, is absolutely essential. You'll use it every single day. All right, we're dressed and ready to face the world. Let's head out the door. This next part of our day is all about getting to work and surviving office life, and you better believe it has its own special set of phrasal verbs. So, on your way to work, maybe you need to run a quick errand. You could pop into the dry cleaners, which means you're just going for a really short visit. And while you're there, you drop off your suit, meaning you just leave it there to be cleaned. See? Simple. Now, if you take public transport, these next two are, well, they're non-negotiable. You have to know them. You get on the bus to start your journey, and when it's your stop, you get off the bus. It's that simple, and you'll hear it constantly. And you've made it to the office. Depending on your job, you might need to punch in. That's just the phrase for officially recording that you've arrived, maybe with a key card or a computer system. Then, at the end of a long day, you do the opposite. You punch out. Okay, so you're at your desk and the phone starts ringing. What do? First, you pick up the phone to answer it. When you're done talking, you hang up. And hey, If that call involves some important details, you might need to fill out a form, which just means writing in all the necessary information.
And you'll probably want to remember to do that paperwork because some bosses might totally freak out if you forget. To freak out is a really common, informal way to say someone gets suddenly super angry or stressed. Hopefully your boss doesn't do that.
Whew. The workday is finally over. You've punched out, and now it is time to head home and just unwind. So, let's check out the phrasal verbs we use when we're relaxing in the evening. And now for what might be the most important question of the entire evening. What's for dinner? Are you going to eat in, meaning you'll cook or have a meal at home, or are you going to eat out at a restaurant? It's a choice we make almost every day, and these two phrasal verbs describe it perfectly. You know, here's a great little tip for expanding your vocabulary. Remember how we said you could pop into a shop in the morning? Well, a very similar phrasal verb is drop by. They both mean to visit a place or a person for just a short, casual time. So you could say, I'm going to drop by my friend's house after work. So you're finally home, you've crashed on the couch. You might grab the remote and start to click through the channels. After a while, your eyes start to get heavy, and maybe you doze off for just a few minutes. And when you're truly exhausted and ready for sleep, it's time to turn in, which is just another casual way to say go to bed. And after a whole week of that routine, what's the one thing, the one glorious thing we are all looking forward to on the weekend? The chance to sleep in. Oh yeah, that amazing feeling of staying in bed later than usual, with absolutely no alarm clock going off. Wow, okay, so we've covered a ton of ground, right? We've gone through an entire day from morning to night. But here's the thing, just hearing these phrasal verbs is only the first step. The really important part is for you to actually start using them yourself. So how do you actually do that? How do you make these stick? Here's a super simple 3-step plan. First, just pick 4 or 5 of the verbs we talked about today that you think are useful. Second, write your own sentences with them, sentences about your real life. And finally, and this is the most crucial step, actually try to use them when you're speaking English. That's how they'll go from being words you know to words you use. So, I'm going to leave you with one last question to think about. Out of all the phrasal verbs we explored today, from going off to sleeping in, which new phrasal verb will you use first? Don't try to learn them all at once. Just pick one, and you'll be on your way.